Where in your life are you feeling the most pressure right now? And how might God be using it for your growth? That question,
Yeah.
it really lands differently depending on where you are, doesn't it? Sometimes maybe it feels a bit abstract. Other times, well, it hits you right in the chest. Life just, it
Yeah.
has this way of bringing pressure, sometimes really intense, relentless pressure.
It does, yeah.
It might be from work, you know, deadlines that feel completely impossible, or the complexities of family life, which can be so demanding. Maybe it's health challenges, unexpected or just ongoing, or
Yeah.
even that internal wrestling we do, trying to grow spiritually. We all know that feeling, right? Being squeezed, stretched thin,
Tested.
tested. Exactly. It seems like it's just part of being human.
It absolutely is. And, acknowledging the pressure is vital.
Yeah.
We can't just dismiss how hard these moments feel, but there's also this perspective, a really profound truth you find in timeless wisdom. It invites us to look at pressure not just as something happening to us, but maybe as something being worked in us. So our time now, let's use it to reflect on that idea. Really dive deep, to explore how even when you feel completely hard-pressed, there might be strength to find, a purpose maybe, and to understand what might actually be taking shape inside you through it all.
Okay, yeah, let's lean into that. Because it does feel like a paradox, doesn't it? This idea of being under intense pressure, squeezed from every side, but somehow not being completely destroyed by it all. How can those two things exist together?
That tension, that exact feeling you're describing,
Yeah.
it's captured so perfectly in some ancient wisdom. Writings that speak right to this experience. They say, and just listen to these contrasts, these pairings. We are hard-pressed on every side but not crushed, perplexed but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed.
Wow. Hard-pressed but not crushed. Perplexed but not in despair. Persecuted but not abandoned. Struck down but not destroyed. Just hearing those laid out like that. I mean, it doesn't shy away from the reality of the pressure, does it?
Not at all.
It uses really strong words. Hard-pressed, perplexed, persecuted, struck down. Those aren't mild terms.
No.
It clearly understands how difficult life feels. But then, right after each one, there's that powerful, but not. Followed by this promise. Preservation. Not crushed, not in despair, not abandoned, not destroyed. So what's the wisdom saying is actually happening in those pressure moments? What makes the but not possible?
Well, the really profound insight here is that the pressure itself, it isn't a sign you failed. It's not proof you're doing something wrong or that your life is somehow, pointless. Actually, quite the opposite. This wisdom suggests the pressure is being used intentionally.
Use.
Yes, it's acting as a catalyst. It's a necessary part of a process,
Yeah.
one that's much bigger than our immediate discomfort.
A catalyst.
Right.
Okay, let's really try to unpack that. How does pressure do that? How does something that honestly feels like it's breaking you down, how does that become something that builds you up, acts as a catalyst for growth?
Well, the perspective offered is that pressure is actively involved in refining you, strengthening you, even guiding you. Think of it less like being caught in some random chaotic storm and more like being placed intentionally in a forge, or maybe under a master craftsman's careful hand.
Okay.
The intense heat, the hammering. These aren't just random acts of cruelty. They're part of a deliberate process, a process to shape something enduring, something valuable. And think about this, even in those moments that feel absolutely crushing, when you feel struck down, totally vulnerable, something eternal is being formed inside you, right through that very experience. It's uncomfortable, yes. It's often painful, but it's productive, deeply productive, in a way you might not see until much later on.
Something eternal being formed. That immediately makes me think of that powerful image, that metaphor people often use for this.
Yes, exactly. The diamond.
Yeah.
It starts as something pretty ordinary, doesn't it? Like basically a lump of carbon.
Yeah.
Coal, essentially. But you subject that raw stuff to immense, almost unimaginable pressure and incredible heat over a long time. And the very structure of the carbon atoms rearranges, fundamentally changes.
Right.
And what comes out? A diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Not just beautiful, but one of the hardest, most resilient things we know. It can cut through glass. It endures conditions that would destroy almost anything else.
Yeah.
And that metaphor, it carries so much weight because it speaks directly to transformation happening because of the pressure, not just in spite of it.
Right. Not fighting against it, but through it.
Precisely. It suggests that the responsibilities you carry, the trials you're facing right now, that heavy weight, is, in a similar way, shaping something incredibly strong and resilient and, yes, beautiful within you. The pressure isn't pleasant, no more than geological pressure is pleasant, but the result, transformation, enduring value.
That diamond analogy, It really does make the concept more concrete.
Yeah.
But let's get really practical for a moment. When you're actually in it, feeling that crushing weight, maybe it's the nonstop demands at work or the emotional logistical load of family life, or just the sheer exhaustion of dealing with health stuff,
Yeah.
or maybe feeling stuck, struggling in your spiritual life. How do you actually navigate that?
Yeah.
When the pressure feels overwhelming, how do you find that path to break through instead of just, well, breaking down? What does that look like day to day?
That is the critical question, isn't it? And the wisdom here points to one key element: staying anchored. Anchored in faith, anchored in trust. Now, that might sound simple, maybe even too simple when you're feeling completely overwhelmed, but it's incredibly profound. Trusting, even when you can't see the way forward, even when you don't understand why this is happening, the trust allows you to tap into a different kind of strength. It's precisely in those moments when your own resources feel totally drained that you can actually discover resilience you had no idea you possessed. And this resilience, it isn't something you just muster up through sheer willpower. It's something you step into when you're anchored. Anchored to something solid, something beyond yourself.
So the pressure then, this immense weight you might be carrying, it isn't just some random burden you have to grit your teeth and endure. It's actually revealing something important.
Exactly. That weight, the specific pressure you feel, it often reveals the depth of your calling.
Interesting.
It shows what you're capable of handling, yes. But maybe even more importantly, it shows what you're being prepared for. The very challenges you face right now might be shaping you for future responsibilities you can't yet see, for a deeper purpose, for an impact you can't imagine yet.
Like training.
Yes. Like a craftsman training with increasingly difficult materials or more complex designs, the difficulty isn't punishment. It's preparation for mastery. And the good news here, the really crucial point from this perspective, is that you aren't expected to carry that refining weight all alone, not just on your own strength. This is where the power of being anchored really comes into play, because the wisdom clearly states where that true enduring strength is found. It says that a higher strength, God's strength, shines brightest in those pressure points.
Right in the middle of it.
Right in the middle. When life tightens its grip, when the demands feel greatest, that is precisely when grace expands to meet you. Now, this isn't about life suddenly becoming easy. It's not magic.
No.
It's about receiving the capacity, the strength, the perspective, maybe the peace needed to bear the pressure without being utterly defeated. It's this divine assistance, this grace, this strength that's made perfect in our weakness that prevents the crushing, prevents the despair, prevents feeling abandoned or being destroyed. It's the but-not part of that whole equation we talked about.
That really does require a fundamental shift in perspective, though, doesn't it? Because when you're drowning in deadlines or worried sick about someone's health or just feeling totally inadequate for what's on your plate, the last thing you naturally feel is prepared. You feel overwhelmed.
Absolutely. It requires a conscious shift, a reframe. And that's exactly what this perspective offers. You're not just overwhelmed, you're being prepared. It's an invitation, really, to see the difficulty not as the absolute end of your rope, but as a necessary stage in your formation, your becoming. It encourages you to resist letting the pressure define you. Letting the struggle become your whole identity, seeing yourself only as someone burdened or broken.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
It is. But instead, the call is to let the pressure refine you, to allow it to shape you into someone stronger, maybe someone with clearer priorities, a deeper understanding of what truly matters, and ultimately someone with a faith that's been tested and proven real, proven enduring.
And bringing this back right now to your own life, to the specific, unique pressures you are feeling, it really is an invitation to look at them differently, not just as random roadblocks or proof that you're not good enough, but as potential. Potential for growth, for resilience, for something lasting, and yes, maybe even beautiful to be formed inside you. It's seeing the weight you carry as possibly having a profound purpose, maybe even a sacred one.
Precisely. That's the central message, isn't it? Counterintuitive, maybe, but powerful. Pressure isn't meant to be failure. It's meant to hold potential. Potential for strength, for deep character, for refinement. But only when you're anchored. Anchored in something solid, something that won't be moved by life's shifting circumstances.
And knowing that even in the absolute hardest moments, the most crushing times, the possibility, the promise is that something of true, lasting, even eternal value is being forged. Right there within you, through that very experience.
Yes. Exactly. Something is being built through that fire that simply could not be built any other way.
So let's just sit with that initial question again, but maybe carry this perspective with us now. Where in your life are you feeling the most pressure right now? And how might God be using it for your growth?